podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
So, Paul, it was good, wasn't it?
I mean, should we just pack it up now? That'll do, right? It was good. That'll do. We'll call that a podcast.
Well, look, it starts Lukaku, Martial and Rashford and Mata at number 10. All the sweets. And it was good. United were sensational at times in an attacking sense, at least after about 15 minutes.
I'm still sort of deliriously happy. So that's the first game I've been to since the Palace game we went to together. And it's by far the best game I've been to this season, because actually United weren't very good against Palace, really. And the other one I'd been to was Leicester at home. But this was just all the good lads scoring. Like, when I saw the team, I just started giggling uncontrollably, because you can't believe what you're seeing. When it says, you know, you're reading down the team, oh, Lindelof's starting, that's interesting. Then you get to Pogba and it's like, oh my goodness. Then you see that he's playing Mata behind the magic triangle. And you know, you wouldn't necessarily want to do that against Barcelona away, but...
Yes, you would. It'd be awesome.
I mean...
You didn't see Ferguson dropping one of Cole or York, did you? Barcelona away?
Well... Okay, so if we're talking 90s Barcelona away versus late 2000s Barcelona away, fair to say Ferguson took a slightly different approach to those two things. No, but, you know, we took advantage of the fact that Newcastle are not very good and absolutely smashed them like they weren't even there.
Yeah, I mean, although, to be fair, I thought Newcastle started the game brightly and their goal wasn't totally against the run of play or anything. You know, they attacked well down the wings on a few occasions before their goal, and you know, that's what earned them the goal. Really, a good run from Yedlin and cut back and nicely slotted away. But after that was it. Newcastle done. United clicked into gear, and Pogba was sensational through the middle. The front three were liquid all the way through, weren't they? Moving around. I mean, the game finished with Lukaku on the right wing. I think Rashford played up front at number 10 and on the left. Mata played at number 10 and on the right for part of the second half. At one point, United were playing a 4-2-4. All the forwards going forward. So
while winning as well. Like, that's the other thing.
I'm thinking Mourinho's had a stroke or something. This can't last. It's a temporary brain fart. And, you know, we've got Arsenal away and City to come. So, you know, we'll be back to 7 at the back, I'm sure. But for the moment, thoroughly enjoyed that. It was very entertaining.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the main man. They were saying, listen, we've got to be a bit mindful of the fact that, okay, it's all fallen apart since Pogba went, but we can't just assume that everything's going to return to normal service and we'll be smashing 4 past everyone we play just because Pogba's back. But in fact, no, it turns out that we can, in fact, assume that, and we will just smash it 4 past everyone once Pogba's back. He was absolutely magnificent yesterday.
He was just a level above, isn't he? You know, just great on the ball, suddenly gets United playing much quicker because he's prepared to hit the longer pass and drive forward with the ball, and he's making those third men runs, and a sensational bit of skill for United's equaliser as well. You know, show the defender the ball. Oops, no, you don't. It's great, and his goal as well. That was a number 8 run, wasn't it, from deep? Beautiful piece of play from Marcus Rashford. Yeah, all round great performance from Pogba. Just gave United a great amount of balance, and it all seemed to click again, didn't it? I mean, it does help that Newcastle just aren't very good, and we batter teams that aren't very good. Now Pogba's back, at least. But I think there's almost no negatives from that game. Lindelof got a full 90. Massa had a run at number 10, showed what he can do, made a lot of very intelligent runs in space. Martial and Rashford both attacked with pace. Lukaku got a goal. He needed that, didn't he? He got 3 for Belgium during the international break. The only downside is a lack of a clean sheet. But even then, it was Martial didn't track back with the runner. So that's, I'm sure Mourinho will be reminding him about that one. But, it was a very, very good run from Yedlin down the right and a very good cutback and a good finish. So, it's not horrible as a goal to concede, but apart from that, all positives.
Well, I mean, the horrible part of that goal was Victor Lindelof, of course. That big...
Well, he got wrong-footed. I don't know whether he was horribly out of position. He wasn't tight enough to the guy coming onto the ball, I guess.
I guess when you fall over and concede a goal, it's always at least a little bit horrible. But I think, and you were saying no real negatives. That would just be my one kind of caveat. It was really unfortunate for him, but it was good to see him growing into the game as it went along. In fact, we'll do an early Rantcast question. Friend of the show at Cal Gildart says, do you think Johnny Lindelof would be more composed, and slip aside he was half decent on Saturday, if he weren't always playing alongside Smalling? I think is an interesting point about Lindelof's development, because he hasn't got to play a lot with the slightly more composed, maybe better leaders in defence.
True, yeah. I mean, I hadn't taken much notice of who he'd played with. Has he mostly played with Smalling? I guess he has. Yeah.
If Cal says it, I'm assuming it's true.
Yeah. I think there's enough about Lindelof to suggest, he'll be okay.
Yeah,
he's having a tough season, sure, at least defensively. He still looks good on the ball, doesn't he? He's very composed. And this was a good game for him to get some time. It brings up the point about the player who was missing. Eric Bailly injured, but the one that Mourinho had a rant about was Phil Jones, who apparently had 6 painkilling injections before a friendly. I agree with Mourinho on this one. That is ridiculous.
It's madness. It's dangerous. It's like it's negligent on the part of the England medical staff. It really is disgraceful. Yeah. It's and honestly, isn't that a violation of the Hippocratic Oath? Do doctors in England take the Hippocratic Oath? Is that just American television that I've learned that from?
No, I think all doctors do, but it's not uncommon for players to play through some pain and have injections. And Mourinho said it himself. He said, "Look, what did he say? I'm not a saint.
I'm not a saint, or I'm no angel, or one or the other."
I've done this myself, which is true. And, I guess they do push the players, but this was friendly. Absolutely no reason for this at all. None. And no wonder players pull out of international friendlies all the time. It's going to encourage it, isn't it? Surely, all the managers are now going to say, well, Southgate plays you even if you're injured, so you better have a fake injury instead.
Yeah. I mean, people have said, Jones has got to take some responsibility, but I think the young man who's been mollycoddled all his life is probably not the person that you're expecting to make those decisions. It should be the kind of senior people.
Oh yeah, but also, what message does it send out if he's got a bit of an injury, he can play? Yeah. And he goes, oh no, I don't really feel up for it.
No, exactly. It's really a messed up situation, and like Mourinho said, that he's no saint. He's done it himself, but only for really important games, big games in the league, maybe finals, semi-finals, that sort of thing. But you'd never even imagine in a million years doing it in a friendly. And I totally agree with him on that. I also totally agreed with him on his team selection against Newcastle. And it paid spectacular dividends. One thing I'd like to do is talk through all of the goals individually, because each one of them had their own sort of unique charm. So the Martial goal, the build-up to it, United had kind of really started to grow in that game. I wasn't worried when we went 1-0 down, I have to say, because the one thing that looked very evident was that Martial was going to cause them all manner of bother down the left-hand side. And for some reason, Rashford kept kind of flying across to the left to back Martial up, which was kind of interesting. So you had all three of Mata, Rashford and Martial heavily overloading down the left. But that's not where the goal came from. First goal came from Pogba doing that brilliant bit of skill on the right, and a lovely, lovely header from Martial, like put it in exactly the right spot.
I mean, he lent on the defender as well. You know, some refs might have called that one, but got up high above the right back, and perfect header right into the corner.
And then the second goal, we need to talk about the wages to assist ratio.
An absolutely beautiful ball from the one-trick pony that is Ashley Young. I mean, that is his only delivery, but perfect, absolutely perfect.
Bizarrely, who scored man of the match? Ashley Young. Like, I don't know what's going on with the algorithm there, but he pipped Paul Pogba in spite of Pogba getting a goal and an assist.
Yeah. Totally wrong. The Who Scored algorithm is not the AI that's going to take over the world and kill us all.
No, it's not. Although we would all be killed if the Who Scored algorithm took over the world, because it would make terrible decisions all the time. But that ball was lovely, and it was interesting. I had said to someone as a joke when the team came out, well, a defender's definitely scoring today because we've got like 17 strikers on the pitch. Of course, you're going to get goal from a defender, but we did. And Smalling had sort of weirdly stayed up after the corner had broken down, and it was, it was a goal technically from open play with Chris Smalling at the back post.
I mean, you got two wingers at fullback.
Yeah.
An 8.5 or whatever Pogba is, playing in central midfield. What matters in his natural position, I guess. Two strikers on the wings and all over the place. And Jose, really flipped around the formation. I mean, they went 4-4-2 for a long period of the second half. And then Zlatan came on and Mata was up front. Zlatan at 10 and Lukaku on the right wing. It was all very weird, I guess it was pretty smooth as well.
You just said Mata up front when you meant Rashford, but the brilliant thing about
No, for the last 10 minutes or so, Mata's the furthest player forward.
Wasn't Mata not on the pitch for the last 10 minutes or so?
Oh, no, that's true. Well, the last sort of 10 minutes of him being, or maybe 5 minutes of him being on after Zlatan came on. It was odd, but fun.
It was super fun. The third goal. I'm just trying to think. I think that's the goal of the season so far. It's like,
well, Mata sweeps it out to the right, and
Lukaku
cuts back onto his left foot. Yeah, he has only got 1 foot, hasn't he?
The thing about that, though, as has been widely pointed out, when you're watching that break. And Lukaku is so far ahead of the play, but Rashford's absolutely pegs it to get to the back post. Like he looks like he's going at fast motion or he's going at normal speed, and everyone else is in slow motion on the video from certain angles. Like, he's so quick, Rashford. Gets the back post, and what he does when he does get to the back post, and the delivery's inch perfect, and the cushioned header, it's like just a moment of pure football genius from Marcus Rashford, that.
Oh, just beautifully laid on for Pogba, who obviously couldn't miss. There was a piece in the was it the Mirror or the Sun after the England game, and having a go at Marcus Rashford, saying this isn't the time for Southgate to experiment with kids like Marcus Rashford, and named a few of the others. I was like, you what? Marcus Rashford, absolute certain starter for England next summer, I'm sure, because of stuff like that. Not only can he score goals from central or wide, but the intelligence in his play is outstanding. He's really becoming a complete player.
It's happening really quickly as well, because this should be big time second season. So I guess it's his third season, isn't it? Well, it's sort of 2 years on, isn't it? From not even 2 years since he kind of made his breakthrough, because the Midtjylland game was after Christmas, wasn't it? So
right.
Not even 2 years into his senior career, and he just, like you say, complete player is the word. I mean, of course he makes mistakes, but he's young. He's absolutely allowed to do that. And then the final goal, just proper icing on the cake stuff, because Lukaku really, he'd scored for Belgium, which was great, but he really needed a goal, and he'd had a couple of decent headed chances, not anything that you'd say, oh my goodness, how has he not buried that? Because you can never really say that with headers. But there was a moment when he'd waited a long time before he shot, and you're like, oh no, Romelu, don't overthink this one, son. Don't think yourself into trouble here, kid. But he didn't. Absolutely.
He absolutely hammered it, although he would not be feeling good about himself if he'd stuck that in Rose Ed, would he?
No. But you could see him like going, right, I've got a lot of options here. What am I going to do? I know. What if I just absolutely roof it? And he did. It was great. And of course, that was late on in the game when the Lion returned. I must say I find all the Lion stuff a little bit on the horrendously cringy side. But you have to say, at 36 years old, to come back from an injury like that more than a month ahead of schedule is ridiculous.
Remarkable. Yeah, I mean, he's some... I was going to say he's some player, but it's more than that, you know. He's the discipline to work that hard, as he showed everyone on social media from the time to time. But he's obviously worked really hard to get back in time, and I think he will play a part, you know. And I suspect what we saw when he came on is a little hint of what's to come. You know, he may well play more at 10 than 9. You know, depending on what part he plays for the rest of the season, but I'm sure it'll be a significant one, you know, and he's intelligent enough to do that. Definitely.
Well, there's an interesting question, isn't there, in terms of what we saw in that game, because in a way he didn't go to number 10 quite as soon as I thought he would, because initially it looked like he'd gone up front with Lukaku out wide. Of course, it was all very fluid. But I did see a few people sort of freaking out about Lukaku being played out wide. But he's really good there. I mean, I'm not saying we should play him there every week by any stretch of the imagination, but he can't half deliver across from that flank.
Yeah. I'm not sure he's quite as sort of dynamic as Martial and Rashford. We didn't really mention Martial, but I thought he had an excellent game as well. You know, and the goal was great. And but just, you know, pretty disciplined, apart from, of course, the Newcastle goal, which will be the thing that Mourinho won't be happy about. But also great on the ball and constant threat. And, you know, wasn't it nice to have all three of them in there?
It was brilliant. The J-Stand adapting the Viva Ronaldo song to Martial and Rashford running down the wing. Here United sing Martial and Rashford, which was very enjoyable. I hope that catches on. I think there's every reason to think it will, so long as Mourinho plays Martial and Rashford more than once ever. I mean, I think he's gonna do it again in games against teams he thinks he can win. We might get it again next Saturday, to be honest. Wouldn't be a complete shock, would it?
No, against Brighton, yeah. I mean, you know, a game that United would expect to win, for sure. And so, yeah, maybe we will. I mean, I guess it depends on what the European team is as well. Well, after the listener questions, we'll come on to doing some, as ever, fully in-depth previews with deep analysis and research.
What we're famous for, isn't
it? About the Basel game. But, you know, I wonder whether there might not be quite a lot of changes, because United effectively qualified, although top spot's still up for grabs.
Are we going to see Luke Shaw? Is Luke Shaw going to play football? That seems far-fetched.
I kind of hope so. Then, yeah, I mean, he was on the bench yesterday. Not that he saw any game time. I mean, maybe Mourinho will do it, if only to signal to everyone that Shaw is fit, and so he can sell him. Yeah,
because I have essentially given up. It's just too late now, I think. It's a big shame. I'm sad about it, but I've stopped hoping when it comes to Luke Shaw, because it feels like emotionally safer to stop hoping at this point. It was really fun at Old Trafford. There was quite a little buzzy atmosphere at periods. Obviously, periods where it was flat and I couldn't hear the Stretford end, but you just never can when you're on the other side because of the roof. So I don't know what it was like on that side of the ground, but around by J Stand, it was buzzy. It was lively, and even a couple of songs from K Stand, like it was 1996 or something. Very enjoyable.
K-Stand always used to give us the song.
Loads of really aggro Geordies as well. really like weirdly aggro. Another one of those teams that has a one-way rivalry with Man United, I think.
Yeah, we're always everyone's biggest rival, or second biggest at least. But Newcastle, one club town. I suppose they've got to be rivals with someone. Sunderland, Middlesbrough,
Sunderland,
Gateshead. Some other teams in the north.
Yeah, Stockton-on-Tees.
Did they have a team, Stockton-on-Tees?
I have no idea. I'm just naming places in the northeast.
They probably do. I mean, every town in the country's got a team of some kind.
Yeah, except Warrington, right? Is it Warrington that's the biggest town in England that doesn't have a professional football team?
Wow.
We've gone a long way off track. I blame myself. The thing about watching Anthony Martial play football is that it's just electrifying. Like, there's so many times when he's got the assist he provided. I don't even know who scored the goal because that was not important, against Germany in midweek for France. Was just amazing. It was just Martial on one side of 3 German defenders, and then he beats them all and cuts the ball back for a goal. And again, against Newcastle, there were so many times when it felt like the ball would inevitably be taken off him. But then, in fact, it was not. And he still had the ball. And he makes stuff happen all the time. And
yeah, Marcel, sensational in midweek, sensational for United. What a player he is! I'd really like Mourinho to find a way to get him in the team every week. He's too good to be sat on the bench most weeks.
Well, it's not most weeks anymore, is it? It's happening more and more. He's kind of feels like we're seeing plenty of Martial at the moment, anyway.
Stockton-on-Tees, Northern League Division 1, promoted last season.
Good luck to the
Stockton Town Football Club.
Good luck to the Stockies, as they're presumably called.
The Stockies. Yeah. They have a big game against Washington AFC next week. Rather a long way to fly for a game.
Seems to be, doesn't it? Anyway, all in all, just a triumphant, joyous Saturday evenings football. And of course, it doesn't prove anything, because United's problem this season has clearly not been an inability to put 4 goals past bad sides, because literally that is just what we do now. Come to Old Trafford.
Seven times United scored 4
That's
this
ridiculous.
Season.
It's absolutely amazing. It's just, it's wonderful. Like, you kind of go to Old Trafford basically expecting United are going to score 4 goals most weeks, and
unless we're playing someone decent,
exactly.
In which case it's going to be 8 at the back and not going to be.
And
4
that's
goals.
the big problem. And even when it's not 8 at the back, as it wasn't against either Tottenham or Chelsea, the quality of performance was so worrying. And in that respect, I'm not actually sure that Pogba being back does fix everything. I think we haven't had enough demonstration that Pogba's going to be the key difference maker in all those big games. Now, that's not a knock against the player, but that he needs systemic support in those games, and that might still not be there.
I mean, it will be interesting to see what happens in the window. I mean, word being that United haven't got a lot of money, and maybe Mourinho will find some by offloading. I don't know, but it does feel like it's a work in progress still. But by then it could all be over anyway, and maybe United's focus will be different. So 8 points the gap now feels pretty substantial, doesn't it? And then the derby on December the 9th, and should United lose that one or drop more points in the games to come, because there's some tough games to come, then we could be looking at a double-figure gap by the turn of the year, and I don't think United will make that one back. So everyone will be then chasing Champions League, and maybe the priorities change a little bit. Who knows? Yeah,
of course, the flip side is that the derby is an opportunity to close the gap as well. I mean, that's a very obvious point, but it is true. We could be kind of bringing that gap down to 5 points and then proving to everyone that City have chinks in their armour. I mean, hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm not saying I think that's what's going to happen, but Excitingly this week, we've got not 1 but 2 fabulous competition prizes to give away. And the first of them is, I don't really know how to describe it, Ed. We got sent 2 copies of this, one as a review copy, one as a contest prize. So the book is called My Notebook. It's by Eric Cantona. You may have heard of him. And it is, I mean, honestly, I think it's glorious. Now, I couldn't recommend it wholeheartedly to every United fan, honestly, because it is extremely specific. But if you are fascinated by the inside of Eric Cantona's mind, then it's an absolute must. What it is, to describe it, is a series of line drawings with captions. And some of them are kind of whimsical musings, and some of them are just straight up jokes. And there's a lot of puns. Now, it's clearly been translated from the French. So because I speak a bit of French, there's like some of the jokes which are funny in French, and the direct translation doesn't make sense in English because it's a wordplay thing. But generally, like, I'm hesitating. I'm slightly umming and ahhing here because it is so hard to describe. Like, the line drawings are very messy. They're not kind of precise by any means. They're like cartoons. I described it as a sort of Gallic Gary Larson's Far Side if Gary Larson wasn't like a really skilled artist. You know, that's about as close as I can get as a description. So that's the kind of review part out of the way. If you want to win a copy of this, then we've got a competition for you. But in fact, My Notebook is the runners-up prize for this competition. The star prize is a beautiful print of Old Trafford, an A3 print from Matthew Wood, which is at Matthew J.I. Wood on Twitter. I'll definitely be retweeting him and check out my Twitter to find him. But it's at Matthew J.I. Wood. He's done some beautiful football stadium prints, and the Old Trafford one is absolutely lovely. So a prize well worth winning. And because...
Nice. How do I win?
Because there's a sort of arty vibe to this, I thought what would be good is if basically whoever does the best United-themed cartoon. So... just draw a cartoon. It does not have to be, believe me, Eric Cantona has just proved to all of us via the medium of publishing that it doesn't have to be like an amazingly skilled drawing or whatever. It just has to be a funny idea. Make it at least vaguely family friendly if you want a chance of winning, because that's going to be important, because we're going to put it...
It depends who's judging.
Yeah, exactly. It really does. But basically what I'm asking is that I can retweet it. It's got that's the threshold it's got to meet. But yeah, so just draw a cartoon. It can be like on a little scrap of paper and you take a photograph of it on your phone. It can be in Microsoft Paint or, in one of the many kind of drawing apps on a phone. It really doesn't have to be like artistically incredible or whatever. Just try and make us chuckle. And the star prize is this beautiful Matthew Wood print, and the second runner-up prize is Eric Cantona's weird and honestly like properly wonderful book.
Excellent. Good stuff. And it's unfair that I am not allowed to get that print or the book.
It just sucks, doesn't it, Ed? It just absolutely sucks.
Yeah, very good. Nice to have a competition. Actually, I promised the lads at Art of Football that we'd do a compo to win one of those T-shirts. So perhaps we'll do that next week or for Christmas or something like that.
Yeah, magic.
And yeah, very good.
I think because we're doing because like the cartoon is like somewhat involved or whatever, I'm gonna say that we'll set a deadline for before what's the game after Brighton?
Watford.
Ed? MUFC. Yeah. So before the Watford game kicks off, that's when you've got to get these cartoons in to us by.
Very good. Good luck.
Good luck. Thank you very much. And a massive thanks to Eric Cantona, but to Matthew Wood in particular for allowing us to give away one of his absolutely beautiful prints. Definitely check him out at Matthew J.I. Wood on Twitter.
Surely Eric should have come on the show to explain his book.
When I say I tried, I tell you I tried.
Did you beg? Was it humiliating?
No.
You should have begged then.
Unfortunately, as the publisher said, we have very limited time with Eric. As we all know, time with Eric is fleeting and passes too soon.
As always, for those of us who've spent moments with Eric.
And all of us who watched him in his all too brief tenure as the king of Old Trafford. Should we take some listener questions?
Let's do it.
At Econies, yes, Pogba, but just how good is Marcus Rashford? Awareness and unselfish play for Pogba's goal was unbelievable.
He's great. He's a great player. He's a great player. He's much more than the player the stats nerds think he is.
And the stat nerds are waking up and even, dare I say it, doing a little bit of after timing or after gaming, post gaming on what they said in the first place.
Well, the thing is, all the models are dynamic. So I'm going to defend the stats nerds here. Players evolve, get better. How many players are, their careers are exactly as we would have predicted them when they were 18.
Not very many at all.
And Rashford is maturing into a very, very fine all-round player.
All right. At Big Shimmery Wall says, in 94, Pallister, Cantona and Kanchelskis were three-syllable outliers in Come On You Reds, with the likes of Ibrahimovic, Mkhitaryan, McTominay, Fosu Mensah and Tuanzebe. Which artist would be up to the task of putting together a new United song, name-checking the squad? And I think the answer here is extremely simple. It's clearly Stormzy.
Yeah, I was thinking, it's got to be grime, isn't it? You can't get it in. There's no way you could do country with 5 syllables in Ibrahimovic.
No, exactly. No, Stormzy all day, every day. The amount of times I would buy a Stormzy Man United single is frightening. If not buy, at least stream a lot on Spotify. At Jam Donut 84 says, do you guys think that Mata should be an integral part of this team? I'm convinced he's one of our best players and unfortunately got overlooked at number 10 by Moyes and Van Gaal. I think that our position on this is clear. You briefly suggested that you would transfer your anti-Rooney agenda to Juan Mata at the beginning of this season, but you've not been able to follow through on that, Ed, because...
I hope you do know that I was tongue firmly in cheek on that one.
I know that.
God, I won't have my name slandered like that. Unlike when you suggested Johnny Evans was the 5th best defender on the planet. No tongue anywhere near your cheek.
Did I suggest that he was the 5th best defender on the planet?
Prove I'm wrong. Anyway, yeah, no matter. Well, he is an integral player. He plays a lot of minutes. I think the issue is he plays a lot of minutes wide, but he's a very intelligent player there. It feels like number 10 is a spot that's up for grabs. Mkhitaryan has not had a great season, at least not a great last 2 months, which is most of the season so far. You can't say he's definitely nailed down number 10 spot. Ibra may come in and play that role. Jose clearly likes Lingard there. I think Rashford could play there very, very easily. Because he's that intelligent. But Mata's the only truly natural number 10 in the squad. And he just happens to be a very old-fashioned one and not the kind of player that Mourinho wants there. I think he wants a player who carries the ball and finds that breaks down the discipline of opposing defences. But he's a super, super intelligent player.
And I tell you, when you don't need a number 10 who's going to carry the ball to break down defences, it's when you've got Lukaku up front, Martial on one side, Rashford on the other side, and Paul Pogba in midfield. So to see Mata at number 10 in that setup was brilliant. And amazingly, shockingly, surprisingly, it worked brilliantly. So Mata didn't necessarily do anything flashy or spectacular, but he was really effective all the way through that Newcastle game in that system. And it's such a natural place for him in that side. But talking of players who are competing for that number 10 role, at level 2 Rogue says, will Pogba's return fix Mkhitaryan? And I think the short answer to that question is no. That is my take, my hot take on the Mkhitaryan situation, is that the people putting the blame for his form at the door of Pogba are looking for a nice solution to a problem that I don't think has nice solutions.
Yeah, Mkhitaryan's a hot and cold player, and he's just been quite a lot of cold. I'm not convinced that he's a number 10. He's a kind of modern number 10, isn't he? He likes to play. You'd kind of see him as a more of a shadow forward than a true midfielder in there because he's so bursty and loses the ball and takes risks. And when he's off form, that all looks really horrible. So I wonder whether he's just better coming in from the right if he's going to play. But Jose, I guess, decided that he was going to give him a good run at number 10 this season. He gave him probably 3 or 4 games more than a lot of people thought he'd get, given how bad his form has been. Maybe not 4 games, but... and he got dropped yesterday, and rightly so, on form. Still got 5 assists this season, mind you.
Yeah, they were all in the first 3 games of the season, though.
True.
Which is a bit of a problem. At ABCMSAG, Alex Dixon, friend of the show, says, how disappointed were you that the prophecy was denied? And then he links to a streamable link, and it is Zlatan's bicycle kick being saved.
Yeah.
Such a shame, but my goodness, he was pretty. I mean, obviously the game was totally done by then, and the whole air of the atmosphere changed into just Ibrahimovic's testimonial. Basically, every touch he made was cheered. He at one point did this beautiful pass where he flicked it over someone's head, which was kind of the second best thing he did. But that bicycle kick legitimately should have gone top corner. Pogba tried one in the first half as well, so all the good lads trying scissor kicks.
Yeah, good stuff. Did you see I can't remember what Alverchurch, I think it was, somewhere in the Midlands, isn't it? If you haven't seen that one, the striker controls a long punt forward on his knee and then does a bit of keepy uppy and then sort of semi scissor kick one in while falling over into the top corner. Outrageous goal in non-league football.
Definitely have to check that out. At the Curse of Chris with a question that I think is really interesting. Minus those who came back from injury, is there one player you think who had a fine game that had previously been struggling against Newcastle? And I'm not sure I would say there's one player who'd previously been struggling, but Lukaku, Martial and Rashford all benefited so much from Pogba being there, especially Lukaku. Because how many times have we said in the last 6 weeks, Lukaku looked really isolated? He never looked isolated in this game.
Yeah, I think Rashford's not really had a great month, has he? And let's hope that Pogba's return is the sort of stimulus to kick on, because United have actually got a pretty tough period coming up. 12 games left this year. And United really need to be winning, almost all of them, except for the European ones, I guess.
So 2 more questions. A really interesting one from @Lucas _M United saying, how many players are we short of to fight City for the title?
Yeah, I mean, it's it gets a bit thin, doesn't it, in central midfield without Pogba. So that might be a player short. And maybe one alternate option from the right-hand side up front. And then fix the central defence. Not that United actually concede a lot of goals, but obviously Jose's not happy enough. Otherwise, he wouldn't park the bus when it comes to games against the big teams.
I think.
And a left back.
A left back or get the one that we've got working. I think really we need a new right back to be really serious, because I do think Valencia's fine when he's on form, but there's plenty of time when he isn't, and it causes a lot of problems with our attacking balance, and he wastes an awful lot of really good opportunities in possession. I kind of still find him quite frustrating. So I think to really take it up a level, I would say maybe new fullbacks on both sides, one more in central midfield. I don't think we need anything more at all in attacking areas, although, Bale, Griezmann, one of those kinds of players could change the kind of overall level of our attack. But I'm not sure that's what's desperately needed. And then the final question from @R_O_M, Scott from Republic of Mancunia says, do you think we play better with Pogba or without?
Yeah. Just he doesn't add anything, does he, Pogba?
It just my favourite thing about that is the sincere replies to that tweet. Many sincere replies going, this question doesn't even need to be asked.
This week, The Sun, believe that if you want, boo, repeated by a bunch of other rags, claiming that United will try and sign Gareth Bale and Antoine Griezmann. How do you fit those two into Pogba Martial, Mata, Rashford, Lukaku.
Bale at left back. We do need a new left back. And Griezmann could play in central defence, maybe.
Well, we played 2 central defenders yesterday, so, maybe that's one too many.
Yeah, exactly. It was essentially a 2-1-7, wasn't it, yesterday? Never mind all the 4-4-2 business that he swapped it around to. Talking of January, Marouane Fellaini delaying signing a contract, could be a free agent in January. I actually don't really, all the kind of, I think somebody said, don't let the door hit your trees and branches on the way out, and your leaves and branches on the way out, which made me laugh. But all joking aside, I don't blame him at all for wanting to go somewhere he plays every week. He hasn't got that many years of his career left, and whilst it's all very well to be a kind of squad player at a top club, he knows he's never going to be a first name on the team sheet type, and there's a lot of clubs where he would play every week. So
yeah, is that what he wants, or is it just negotiations over how fat the contract is?
Well, I hope it's the former, because that means he'll leave.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It's I presume United wouldn't do anything about selling him in January, because making 10 million quid or something is a lot less than United would lose if they didn't make the Champions League and he scored some vital goal to make sure United were in it or something, and José's not going to want to reduce his options in the winter. So if that's it, that's it. I suspect he'll sign a new 3-year contract at some point in the spring, and we'll all be a bit disappointed, or he'll be sold in the summer and United will have just protected their asset. You say
we'll all be disappointed. We'll all be disappointed, apart from the significant minority of Reds who won't have a word said against him because he really tries hard when he plays. And he does.
Yeah.
He does really try hard. And he does offer something unique and different. But also, be good if we had a better player than him in his place in the squad.
So I asked, how many do you give about Fellaini leaving on free? The poll results, all 2,307 of you that voted, 30% said no, 25% said zero. Someone did point out to me that no and zero is the same thing.
Yeah, that's 55% in total, right?
Yeah. I knew that. It was a joke. But, hey. Twitter, irony is lost. 25% give one and 20% of people give lots of so perhaps I'm unfairly representing 20% of the United fan base there.
That's the thing. He's definitely got fans. He had a flag in J stand with a Belgian flag on it. He got a lovely reception when he came on, which was nice because no harm in giving him plenty of confidence. But obviously there'd be no tears shed if he left by 80% of United's fans that voted in that poll representatively. Although I think Gallup count about 1,000 votes as a representative poll, so it definitely smashes the mark for being representative. But
well, no, it's not representative because it should have been weighted according to the demographics of the United supporting population, which clearly it is not. But it is a good sample size.
There you go. I guess we should preview what's coming next, which is Brighton and Hove Albion, featuring my favourite manager that doesn't manage Man United in the Premier League, Chris Hughton. Seems like a lovely fellow.
Lovely fellow, isn't he? That's what everyone says. It almost seems like an insult, though, doesn't it? Nice guy.
Well, they did very well last season, didn't they?
That's right, and they're doing pretty well this season. For a club that's just come up mid-table. Good victory against Swansea yesterday, and smashed West Ham a couple of weeks ago, didn't they? So, although everyone's been doing that, we'll have to talk about that. Have we talked about Moyes to West Ham yet?
Yeah, I'm sure we did. I'm sure that had happened by last weekend because, and.
Can we just talk about it some more?
What are they doing? Anyway, have they played yet? Have they played this weekend yet?
No, they're playing Watford on Sunday. So we're recording this about an hour before they kick off.
Okay.
Watford, good side. Very good manager. Unlike David Moyes, not a good manager. Not at all. Not even near. Anyway, let's talk about Brighton. Chris Hughton, nice guy, has built a good side, and they've gone on a decent run. Haven't been beaten in a few games now. Lovely new stadium after years of playing at weird places that weren't actually football stadiums, and a club that's really on the up.
Yeah, and very richly deserved as well by a supporter base that stood by their club when, asset strippers and all that kind of stuff took over, and they had a horrible ride. They were, I'm sure many of our listeners are too young to remember when Brighton were a top flight club, but they were. United played them in the cup final in '83, was it? Yeah. And Brighton took United to a replay. I mean, we smashed them in the replay, but they were a top flight club then, and it was not long after that they got relegated and began a real serious tumble down the tables when they lost a championship playoff final some years later, and then after that, the season after that, they got relegated. But they've fought their way all the way back to the Premier League, and it looks like it's too early to say they're definitely going to stay up, but they got 15 points already. Out of the first 11 games, which is, puts them 8th in the league at the moment, which is, I don't think anyone expected that. It's a very strange situation where the top 6 are the exact top 6 they're meant to be, but then comes Burnley, Brighton, Watford, Huddersfield.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the top 6 is the top 6, and I think any of the other 14 could get relegated, basically. It's I suspect it'll be really tight, and Brighton have had a decent start, probably very good start for them. And 15 points at this stage of the season's pretty good, with sort of
they've played
6 or 7 league games until the end of the year, and then so I would think they'd be pretty happy with that.
So, who are their big threats, Ed? Who do we have to worry about?
Glenn Murray, aging Glenn Murray, scoring some goals up front. He's got a few in the Premier League already this season. Pascal Gross is a very decent midfielder. Gets a decent amount of assists, doesn't he? Shane Duffy at the back, experienced campaigner, decent player. Plays for the Republic as well. We saw him in the World Cup qualifiers. So they've got some good players.
I went out about when Shane Duffy scored in the game against Sweden. Obviously, I say obviously, maybe it's not obvious, but mostly because of the Second Captains podcast, I end up wanting Ireland to win all international games because, they'll be, you definitely want loads of Second Captains activity at the World Cup, basically. But was hoping they'd win, and they went 1-0 up, was quite pleased about that, and then got back to find out they'd lost, 5-1, I think?
5-1 to Denmark, not Sweden. But
sorry, yeah. And, of course it was Denmark, because Peter Schmeichel, the day afterwards, saying, running a poll on his Twitter account, saying, who would you have, Christian Eriksen or Neymar?
Yes. Well, we've already discussed this. He is the worst pundit.
You see, you denied that. You argued that fact, but he is, in fact, the worst pundit.
He's so bad it feels like there should be a South Park episode about him. But anyway, back to Brighton. Decent side, and you wouldn't expect them to do anything at Old Trafford, and clearly we're going to win 4-0 because that's what we do.
I mean, in a way, obviously we joke about how terrible our previews are, but this really does feel like a game that the kind of only logical preview stance to take on it is this is going to be one of those home games at United where, I think Brighton are a better side than Newcastle, for example, but and maybe they can do something on the break, and obviously United's main enemy in these games is going to be complacency, but they are not going to be able to keep out our attack, I don't think. No,
I don't think so. And they don't score a lot of goals.
No, right. And that's a kind of big issue for them. But it is nice to see Glenn Murray scoring in the Premier League because obviously he struggled when he's come up before. And it's nice to see Anthony Knockaert, who had a little go in the Premier League at Leicester and then was absolutely brilliant in the Championship for Brighton. And is playing pretty decently and kind of he's cutting it in the Prem, this season, which is nice to see for him. Of course, there's a game before that. Wednesday night, we travel to Switzerland. I guess they'll be getting ready to travel already. They'll probably go tomorrow, I suppose. And it'll be FC Basel in a game which is, I mean, you described it in the intro as a dead rubber, and it's all but a dead rubber, isn't it? Technically not, but effectively.
Yeah, it is, and you wonder whether Mourinho might not make a few changes as a result. So, I mean, United will want to win this group. So I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want to make 9 changes, lose the game, and then have to get something in the final game against Moscow to guarantee qualification or guarantee top spot, especially since that game comes between City and Arsenal, doesn't it? You basically want to be able to play all the kids in that game if you want. So, a few changes, I would think, and maybe all those forwards who played some of them will be rested. Maybe Mkhitaryan will be back because, he gets numbers in the European games, doesn't he? And Basel been terrible in the Champions League so far, although they won 5-1 at the weekend, so maybe they're hitting some form.
So the thing about the Basel game is, so we have 12 points, Moscow have 6, Basel have 6. But our goal difference is 6 goals better than Basel's. So we could lose to Basel and lose our final game, which I guess against Moscow at home, which I don't think we're going to lose anyway, by the way. And so long as the goal swing isn't 6 goals, then we would still top the group. So
yeah. I mean, true. So if we lost both of them 1-0. Drop to Basel would need to score 3 or 4 against Benfica in the final game. Unlikely.
Yeah, and so I think this is a game when actually it'd be interesting to see when the Moscow game is in terms of what fixtures are around it, because if we just need to
City and Arsenal either side.
So we do need to get a point in this game, don't we? So then he really can just make 11 changes for the Moscow game and count that as a kind of friendly and a kind of, a fitness exercise for the fringe players and play Angel Gomez, all that kind of malarkey.
Absolutely. So other teams United could face obviously can't face any of the English sides in the round of 16, but Group B tight between Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich, although, Paris...
Doesn't really matter which one of those.
Roma, Chelsea, Atletico in Group C, pretty tight. I mean, Atletico not having a great season, and perhaps they're dropping out there. Barcelona, Juve in Group D. Can't play Liverpool, but could play Sevilla from Group E. Can't play City, but could play Shakhtar Donetsk or Napoli. I mean, probably Shakhtar because Napoli lost 3 games so far. So yeah.
Basically, it doesn't make any difference whether we come first or second in the group. It makes almost
well. You'd like
no
to play Shakhtar, right?
Group B. Well, no, but you're only going to play Shakhtar because they're in a group with Man City. So the only team that you could play from that group would be
Porto, Shakhtar. Leipzig.
Doesn't matter.
Spurs can't play Spurs.
Madrid.
Don't really want to play Madrid. Yeah, that would be a stinker, wouldn't it? Win the group and get Real Madrid, who suddenly hit some form or something.
Or Bayern. Like, seriously, if you look at the permutations, this is a season where it literally does not matter whether we finish first or second in this group. I mean, especially since it looks like there's a decent chance that Tottenham, City and Liverpool will all top their group. I wonder what would happen if we finish second. I don't even know how the permutations of that would all work, because there would only be very few teams that finish top that we could play. So what I'm saying is, let me know if I'm wrong, listeners, but looking at the tables as they currently stand, I think we should just play like the under 17s against Basel and Moscow at this point.
Yeah, there's also something about momentum, isn't there? Wanting to win. But I suppose if you play the under-17s, then that's all right. It doesn't feel like you're stripping away. Couldn't really do that, but could play. You get a bigger squad in UEFA games effectively because you have the B list, of which there are quite a few youngsters on that one.
There you go, sorted. Call me Jose.
All right. But we didn't really talk about Basel, but they're rubbish. So
we played them already, haven't we?
Yeah, 4-0.
3-0. We beat them 3-0. We must have been slipping. We must have been taking it easy in that game.
Standards. Yeah, not good. We batter crap teams 4-0. That's how it goes.
I'm going to predict a 2-0 win in this one because I think that, or maybe even 2-1 actually. I think this might be a bit of a disappointing game because I think there will be a lot of changes and there'll be a bit stuttery. I wonder if we'll see quite a lot of Zlatan in that game actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's ready to play 90, is he?
No.
He can't be. He's had 13 minutes of competitive football in 7 months.
I guess what I would hope is Pogba would be rested for that one. Although the fact that he only played 60 minutes makes me think maybe he'll give him a half or something against Basel just to keep his legs, getting up and running.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he did say on Friday that he was going to manage his minutes really carefully, which is right. I mean, a hamstring injury, don't want that coming back.
No, so ideally no Pogba, and then so much Pogba against Brighton, just maximum available Pogba.
Very good.
Yeah. All right, predictions.
I'm going to say... Brighton don't concede that many goals either. Don't score many, don't concede many. So let's call it 3-0 to United.
All right, sounds great.
And 2-1 against Basel.
I'm going to say 2-1 and 4-0.
All right.
Obviously 4-0, obviously. 4-0 FC, 4-1 FC, that works too. I think we've had 3 4-1s this season, mixed in with all the 4-0s. Anyway, either way, nice to see Pogba back, nice to see United good again. And I hope that we get to do 2 shows in a row where United were good. Because then after that, it's like Watford, Arsenal and City, and it's probably all going to go wrong again. But hey, that's miles away for now. Between now and then, enjoy the football, enjoy the other aspects of your life, and we'll see you in a week's time.
Yep, thanks for listening. See you next week.
The Rantcast is produced by Tom Jenkins and supported by listeners like you. Head to patreon.com/Rantcast to find out more.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.